right, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited about today's guests. We've got director Tim Hautekiet and producer Ryan Blewett. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
I had the opportunity of watching this really unique film, Me, Myself, and the Void, which I really thought it's an awesome concept. So I was like, okay, how do I get these guys on this show? And so we're able to make it work. And what I really like about Me, Myself, and the Void is it is a comedy, but it's about a guy who's essentially, and I mean, this is spoilers, but not really spoilers because of the concept. He's dying, right? He's a stand-up comedian, so he's dying on stage, and then he's dying, and as his mind is trying to process this, he's in this void of what should be an audience, and he starts kind of peeling layers back about how he got there. Super fascinating. You don't really see a film done like this often that isn't overly artistic. This has a really kind of a practical stage feel to it, which I really like about it. And it makes it more personal about the character's journey. So if you guys just want to talk to me about it, I would love to hear about like your origin stories and kind of like what brought you into this film.
Yeah. Tim, you want to take the lead on that as the fearless director and writer?
I mean, that's like it was actually a real joy hearing that sort of echoed back from perspective, because it's always interesting like how people interpret the story, but that's exactly how we want the beginning to be perceived. Certainly that hook was a big part of it. I know that I have a co-writer, Nick Oldershaw. He and I he is a stand-up comedian, which probably informs the story in some sense. But I think the way I often talk about kind of the origin of coming to the idea was that what kind of happens in the first couple of minutes of the movie before we even realize that he is in his own mind and seemingly like on the verge of death. I kind of that setup of, well, what if two friends, they're in difficult places in their relationships, and then they kind of seemingly are about to make a pact to move into a cool new bachelor pad together, and then one of them bails. That was sort of an idea I had for a really long time. Like I was like, and is it like a setup for a pilot, for a show? What is it? I think as a lot of screenwriters can probably connect to, it's after a while you begin to learn the difference between I've come up with a situation and I've come up with a story. And this was a good example of like, I've come up with a situation because there was no inherent like narrative or drive to that, it's like, and then he moves into the place and then what, and then I think it was throwing that idea around with my writer, Nick Oldershaw, that at some point we landed on that hook of like, oh, and then what if he's, in this new apartment, what if he's face flat on the floor? And then the hook of the movie becomes, how did he get here? And then, as you so beautifully summarized, it becomes a story about him having to reconcile his personal actions that got him there. And so I think that was definitely the moment when we sort of we got excited. We thought we had something because it felt sort of contained. It felt like a good question. It felt like something that could hook in an audience. And like you said, I feel like we were obviously borrowing from many, we're always standing on the shoulders of giants. We're always borrowing from what's come before, but we felt like we at least hadn't seen it done that way, that kind of version. And so that's when we started writing it. And not too long after having a first, the draft that you say, okay, it's not quite ready, but I'm willing for somebody else to read it. That was basically, as soon as we hit that stage, that's when I approached Ryan Blewett, and we sat down and I basically pitched him the idea and sent him the script, and then the rest is history.
All right, Ryan. So he hits you with this crazy concept, right?
Yeah.
And now you have to start thinking about, how do I visualize this thing? Like, walk me through that process.
Yeah, I mean, Tim came to me originally because I had done a feature project when I was like freshly in LA, like freshly out of college. And so that was just like a few $100s, some friends in a house, like very low key. And I think both of us had come from this like YouTube on making things online, like hell or high water, we're going to do it. We're like freshly vaccinated. We're freshly like ready to take on the world. And, from the jump, like from that first time, like sitting in a bar in 2021, talking about it, like I was so like moved and seen by the idea, especially because it in a larger way, he talked like he told me about the thematic elements of it, about like sort of the, even if you're a good guy, even if you're someone who really tries to be a good man, like it's about the failings of those people too. And that felt like scary and exciting in a way. And so, you know, where it started was we were literally going to do this thing. We were like, can we rent an apartment and put paper, like put garbage bags on the walls? Like what's the most minimum way we can do this? And that was like honestly, that was how we were willing to do it. Cause like the two leads, Chris and Jack, we already had a relationship with them. We were already friends with them. So that was not a total given, but sort of a given. And then like the first step was bringing it to some friends who had started a production company, Echo Ben, which was like a very non-political, like it wasn't like we had to like pitch them or anything. It was just, they were our friends. We were telling them about this thing that we were doing. And then because they were a new production company, they got back to us kind of just the next day with just an email that just said something to the extent of like, we need to make this movie. And from there, that partnership sort of opened up like additional money, additional resources. And then we were just kind of thrust into a wormhole of like, we're making this movie on a much bigger scale than we originally thought when it was just the two of us. And yeah.
But I like that though. I like the fact that you guys were like, you know, we're just gonna make this thing. We're gonna go bare bones. You know, we got a garage. Let's make it happen. And then it just kind of blooms.
Yeah, and like one of the things, and like it's kind of the mindset we have like on our next project too, and how I'm trying to put on any project moving forward, is that like one of the things that we said at a certain point was we decided that we were going to shoot on November 1st. And so when we took meetings with people, we were like, okay, yeah, we're making this movie, it's this, it's that, and we start shooting on November 1st. And we could weed out people we didn't want to work with if someone was like, well, what if we waited until December 15th, or, you know, or something, whatever. We're like, oh, no, I don't know if you heard us. We're making a movie that starts on November 1st. And the truth of that was it was basically a lie. You know, like it was before we had anything booked. It was before we had everything cast or whatever. But like that mentality of just like, our goal is to make this movie. It's done is better than perfect. We're going to just like gun for this. And everything, you know, kind of came on the train as we were doing that.
I really love the on-screen chemistry between your stars. So Jack DeSena and Chris W. Smith as the best friend. Amazing.
Incredible. I mean,
it is really,
there was no
good.
movie without them. Yeah, there was no movie without them. I mean, there was like, as we were reviewing everything to get the movie ready, there was like 1/2 a second of a conversation of like, well, do we entertain maybe trying to get like names or something like that?
Yeah.
And it was very much like, no, because Chris and Jack, like you can see it in the very first seconds of the movie, like they've been making comedy together for like over 10 years, like since they were in college. I mean, well over 10 years, like maybe even like closer to 20 years if I'm thinking about it. But like they have years and years of chemistry. They're both just like complete masters of what they do.
That's
and
great.
Together they're like out of control. Yeah.
But you did get a name. I mean, if you could see my background, right? I'm a Star Wars guy. You got Kelly Marie Tran. I mean, she was in Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. She played Rose. I mean, she's a name. So, I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, we had oh yeah, Tim, you take that. I've been talking a lot.
No, it's all good. No, like, I think, you know, we both know the war stories, but like I feel like we could tell each other's origins at this point, you know, based on
yes,
like but I think no, I mean, for Katie it was interesting because, you know, she certainly was very early on someone who I thought would be a potentially very exciting for the role of Mia. I remember years prior, she was in a Facebook Watch show together with Elizabeth Olsen called Sorry for Your Loss. And there was a very brief scene in that show where she shared a sort of a brief moment of like flirtation with Jack DeSena. Like, and at the time, what was funny about that scene for me was that I remember just thinking, oh, it's my mate Jack together with, like you're saying, like, whoa, with Rose from Star Wars. That's amazing. That's so cool that he got to do a scene with her. And on top of that, they were quite cute together. So then, being very British, my instinct was, what if they're broken up in a story? Like, what if the relationship didn't work out? But you know, I do think it was genuinely seeing that I bought them as a couple, even though this was just a scene where they were briefly flirting. The fact that I sort of bought them together was something that must have just gotten planted in my brain when it came time to figure out who we could approach. And then we had these amazing casting directors who you know really helped us. You know, like we did all the classic things, right? Like wrote a letter. It was kind of immediately an offer, and very much the offer, from what I understand, having spoken subsequently to Kelly and to Kelly's reps, was like, you know, it sounded funny to them as well, because it was basically just a tiny movie approaching them and saying, hey, we're shooting in a month, kind of like what Ryan was saying. Like, does Kelly want to be in it? Like, and
also,
you know,
we're not going to give her any money, and also there's like no money to give her. And it was crazy because like we were her first live action movie since Star Wars too, so it was like it was just like a whiplash to a completely different scenario. And yeah, and she couldn't have been better. I mean, she's like the sweetest person, became like an instant friend, was like immediately knew what we were up to, really wanted to like contribute and participate. It was and like our continued relationship with her, like I think is a testament to just like how incredible she is.
But you're seeing that, I mean, especially in the trades, I mean, you're reading more and more now how these stars come off of these big, huge billion-dollar films, and like all they want to do is they just want to do something indie. And then indie directors, indie producers don't approach these stars because they think they're untouchable. So they don't even do the letter. They don't even make the effort because they're no longer. But a lot of these stars, like they still want to dip their toes. They still want to enjoy that tight set, that small production. So I mean, I love the fact that you guys, you know, you shot your shot and you landed her, and it's awesome. I mean, you can really see the chemistry there. I think it was a great job with that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, her stock's also going up. Like she's just like an incredible actress, like an incredible artist, and her like we only have like amazing things to say about her and like what she's up to. So
no, I loved it. I think she's great. So talk to me about Echo Bend. You guys have worked with them, and they've done everything from like Nicki Minaj music videos to commercials to feature films. So they sound like a pretty cool company.
Yeah. No, it's Echo Bend was started, like I said, just by some of our friends. It was actually like my first roommate in LA, Ryan Turner, someone I met on like Craigslist, like 10 years ago. Like it was a very like random, like I needed a place for 3 months. I ended up staying there for like a year and a half. Our beds were like 2 inches apart because it was 4 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. It was like a very like early 20s situation. And he's like an incredible director and just an incredible sort of community creator. He's all roads lead to Ryan Turner in a lot of ways. So him and his business partner Zubin Anklasaria had started this company. This is sort of a way to start like eliminating middlemen from jobs. Like you get hired as a director and you need to like go through an agency, you need to go through this person and that person. And so it was a practical thing and also sort of like an experiment and like, all right, well, let's see what happens. And we became the first narrative project for them, which is obviously the goal. You start a company and you might need to stay afloat with commercials and music videos. But of course, the goal that a lot of us want to do is make art and make features and tell stories. And, you know, it is a production company and like but also it's just kind of like, the office is a great place to hang out. We try to like extend resources to anyone that needs them. Just try to like level the playing field for as many people as we can.
That's
and cool. in like a practical way. If it's like, hey, like, you know, you're our friend and you need insurance, well, like don't use don't buy insurance. Like, we have company insurance. Make this an EchoBend production, and then, you know, no sweat. That's money you don't need to spend.
That's
'Cause,
actually
like, in a lot of ways,
that's actually such a big issue too with
yeah,
filmmaking, like
yeah,
insurance. They don't
totally.
even, some people don't even budget for insurance and don't realize, oh my God, we have to like double
And
our budget now. Yeah.
and like, and or, you know, oh, do you need a camera? Oh, okay, well, the company has an Alexa you can use. Because, like, in like a very simple way, like, the rising tide raises all ships, right? Like, one
Yeah.
person's success does not, like, it's not like there's like a success pie and everyone, and you need to rush to take a bite of the pie. In fact, the pie is ever raising. It's like an ever filling glass, you know. There's infinite pie. So, like
It's awesome.
so like, if you're successful and you get more resources, you're able to, like, extend those to other people. And so,
Yeah.
it, you know, you hear so much, like, negativity about, like, the entertainment industry, just between just people's relationship with each other, or people trying to hop on each other. And there's a lot of great people doing a lot of great work out there, and we're just trying to be part of that, you know, like, leading with, like, being good to people, being kind first and foremost. That's the only thing that matters, and then everything else is like a bonus.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Tim, I do have to ask you a question about the roommate in this film. Is there
Sure.
is there a real life inspiration for the weirdo roommate? Because it felt too true to me.
Oh, funny. Yeah. Well, do you know what's interesting? Actually, in my personal experience, I've only ever had wonderful roommates. So
Okay.
that was truly a construction.
All right.
That said, you know, I do think it was certainly something that that I know Nick and I talked about quite a bit, which is that, you know, the odd roommate, there is an element to which that is a trope, right? Like, and obviously
Yeah.
on some level it did feel like a necessity, right? Like, it felt like, all right, you know, he didn't get to move in with his best friend, so he has to move in with someone who in
The
some ways,
complete opposite.
yeah, exactly, completely doesn't fit. But then it was also, but it was interesting because I remember when talking to James Rapson, who's the wonderful actor who we found very late in the game, and
Like, 2 days
came on board
before,
for
like,
that character.
Really?
Yeah.
like 2 days before, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was interesting because something I remember sort of in conversations with him, and then also subsequently, the more and more I was kind of, you know, honing in on exactly what I thought his role was in the story, is that I remember kind of explaining to him, like, you're not weird. Jack is weird. You're just direct. You're just saying, don't go in my room. Like, here are my boundaries. Like, you are just a man who has a healthy sense of, like, this is what I expect in this roommate relationship. And Jack, because he is this incredibly conflict averse person, and we are in his mind, perceives you as, you might as well be an alien. Like, he can't wrap his head around your directness and your boundaries and all of those. Like, that was weirdly how I sort of pitched it. And then obviously, you know, he played that really, like,
Yeah.
so beautifully because
It's
he,
exceptional.
You know,
Yeah. I can see it now hearing that from you. Like, that's excellent directing, because seeing the performance, it makes total sense now. Like, the guy's just setting boundaries and our main character cannot fathom that. So I think that's really brilliant. I love the purple light thing. I'm not going to spoil it. I knew what it was from the get-go just because of my wife is into that stuff. So I was like, oh, I know what that is. But I do love the hook where they're like, what the hell is going on with this purple light? I need to know, you know. So I think that's great. Before we wrap up, Tim, Ryan, what are you working on right now? I don't need any spoilers, but is there anything coming up you guys want to chat about?
Yeah, I mean, so Tim and I had worked together, like, to a lot of extents before this, like, acting for each other, lighting for each other, whatever, you know, like a million projects over a million things. And then this sort of solidified, like, a certain partnership and a brotherhood between us. And so we're very excited to, like, continue to do things together. And Tim has been working on, like, the most amazing project for many, many years. Like, is it 8 years now? I think. Yeah, 8
coming
years.
up on 10. Yeah.
Coming up on
Wow.
10. Yeah, 8. Yeah, it's funny. We skipped the 9th year. And it's just like, you talk about it, right? It's like a public thing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I
I don't want
Do
to
I
throw
need
him
to
under the
have
bus.
my audience sign an NDA right now? What's happening?
You might. Yeah.
No.
If everyone listening keeps this a big secret. No,
We're all
it's a really
gonna
exciting, like Tim's like 10-year passion project, like something he's been like refining for so long.
that's a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna shoot it abroad. I'll say that, and then I'll
That'd
let
be
Tim.
cool.
I'll let Tim fill in any other details he feels comfortable about.
Oh my God, I
But
feel
it's
so
amazing.
guilty.
It's amazing.
I
No,
feel
it's
so guilty
amazing.
right now asking this question. Timothy, you
No,
don't
no.
have to answer. You don't have to answer the question.
I mean, I think to Ryan's point, we're always working on a million things. Whether that's we've got various shorts and various and various long form projects in the works. It's also Ryan's a writer and a director himself, so we're always kind of exchanging things. No, but this passion project, indeed, it's something. It's called Serenade's End, and it's if I just pitch on the genre blend of it, but basically it is both a murder mystery and it is a musical. Like, it is a little bit
That's
like incredible. Sort of crossing different. But it has been a lot of it's been many years of kind of refining it, because I think something that, a little bit to what I was saying earlier, I was excited by the challenge, and I think over the years it has more and more become this. It's an easy thing to say, but I think as any writer knows, actually accomplishing it in a way that is satisfying is its whole other thing. But the goal was, how can we put those two genres together in a way that isn't just, look at how quirky we are, we put two bright different colors of paint together and now we're creative, like, and really try and build a story and write a script and write songs that blend those two elements in a way that to an audience will hopefully feel like, oh, it could only ever be this package. So yeah, and that's something that it's exciting. Like, it certainly looks like we're going to be reteaming with some familiar faces. That's like awesome. It's so we're very excited by it.
Well, I'm gonna have to ask you guys, when this thing is shot, post, put out there, doing the rounds, come back on the show. Let's talk about it.
We gotta. It is incredible. It is like, it's so great, and I can't wait to do it and to get it into the world, because it's really exciting and it's cool. I love that we have like an answer to that question too. It's awesome. Like we're in this for the long haul. Like, this is hopefully the first link of a very long chain that you can look up and down, and
So, I mean, you mentioned filmmaking is like a brotherhood, and it really is. Like, I tell people, really, work with a lot of people, but work with the people that you want to work with deliberately, because when you start shooting a film, it is like going to war. I mean, it is this thing that just, the whole experience of it drives you together, and you create family, friends that are going to stick with you forever. So I absolutely agree with you.
I mean, a lot of people, I think, I know that we're just about out of time, but I just, a lot of people ask the question to themselves, like, why do I want to be a filmmaker? Or and I think that it's actually sort of a larger question, right? It's like, what kind of life do I want to live? And you put filmmaking inside of that. And so, like, instead of just being like making everything only about filmmaking, you sort of make everything about like having a well-lived life where you are a filmmaker. And I think that there's like a necessary step where it's like, you focus on like love and kindness and the connection you have with people, and you make sure that those are like your focuses and your strengths. And then from that, like, incredible things can happen when you create.
Where can people watch Me, Myself, and the Void?
Hopefully very soon. We're in like total distribution phase of it right now. So we have some festivals. We're about to play at Film Quest in Utah, which is like so exciting. That's at the end of October and of 2023. Whatever, maybe after we've won an Oscar, someone comes back 10 years from now, and this is sending a message into the future. As of right now, in the fall of 2023, we are like in very active distribution talks, and hopefully over the next few months, we'll have like a very easy, like, it's here. You can go on Amazon and pay $4, and there it is.
That's awesome.
hopefully that's going to happen. Like our goal right now that we've done some festivals, we had some like really incredible experiences with that. Our goal is to make this movie as accessible as possible. So, we have an Instagram, me, myself, and the Void on Instagram. Any news or updates about the movie are going to be there. So, yeah.
As a cinephile, and just in generally, like, film is my church. I am very privileged to be able to get access to films like this before they come out.
Yeah.
And I will tell people, like, this one's worth a watch. It's fun, it's funny, and you don't see a lot of films like this, which I think is super cool.